Yes, today is another day, and we have a student here from Myanmar. She will try to uh, let us know few things about research. So let us hear from her.
Can I start right now? So, good afternoon, Professor, and good afternoon, class. Uh,
Okay, so go on.
Today, I'm going to present the second part of the research. Um, uh, those are my contents, significance of the study, limitation of the study, skills of the study, research question, and the research methodology. So before I explore the detailed information of my presentations, I would like to put some disclaimer. I'm not a professional lecturer or a professor, so just a student of some university. So this presentation is to fulfill my classroom assignment for this semester. So I would like to start with the significance of the study. So what is the significance of the studies in the research? So it is explanations of the why the researchers do this research, why this is matter to do, why this issue is important to do a research. So it is a justifications of the importance and the impact of the research in your research fees. So when you are doing writing the research paper, you need to put the significant of the studies in the introduction part, or some researchers put the significant of the studies in the problem statement part. So before you write the significant of the study, you need to think about what you need to write in this part. So you can start with the thinkings and doing some points to write. So you need to answer at least these questions. What is the research gaps in your research fees? And what issues and areas are not previously published? And what issues and the area have a previous research, but it still need further work or research. So after you answer or do some research on your research fees, you will get some points to write significant of the study. So you can start your writing process. So in your writing process, in your paragraph, you can explain why this issue matter, or you need to address the existing gap of problems, and you need to put potential contributions or your research. So if you are doing independent studies, you need to write at least 150 words to the maximum 300 words. But if you are writing a thesis paper, you need to write 300 words to the maximum 500 words. So another topic is the limitations of the study. So limitations of the study, it is weaknesses of your research that the researchers cannot control or reach out. So the researchers is not a magicians of they don't have powers to reach out, or they don't have powers to get all the things when they do a research. So there can be some limitations when they are doing studies of research. So, but limitations of the studies might impact or influence the research and the findings of your research. So there are normally two types of the limitations of the studies, which are the methodological limitations and the common limitations. So methodological limitations are the issues with a research sample and insufficient sample size of the data collections process and methods and some techniques. Like for example, if the researcher is doing about the China diplomacies honors or the Myanmar of like a Vienna, so the researchers can't cover all the things or all the things about the China diplomacy. So they need to focus only one point, one specific area. So that means that the researchers, the methodologies of the researchers and the research projects cannot cover all the things. So that is the one of the insufficient. That is one of the limitations of the studies. And common limitations are like the time constraints, time limitation, limited access to gather data and the informations, and sometimes religious and the cultural bias of the researchers can be a common limitations. So the next topic is scopes of the studies. So scopes of the study, it is like a boundary or your research focus on what you want to find. Like as I mentioned in the previous part. So when the researchers are doing about the China diplomacies, we can't the researchers can cover all about of the China diplomacies. So the researchers need to decide what is the skills of the studies. Like, for example, my research topic is China diplomacies on Myanmar Northern Conflicts. So my scopes is China diplomacies, but I focus on the Myanmar Northern conflict issues, not cover all of the China diplomacies on every Myanmar issue, just only a Northern conflict. The next topic is that research questions. So when you try to write a research question, you need your research question must reflect your research objectives. So planning your research question is depend on your research objectives and what research you are doing. So what do you want to find? Plan your research questions along with your research objectives. So this is the last part of my presentation. It's about the methodologies. So I will focus the two things, qualitative and the quantitative. So a qualitative approach is an inductive approach. It means that it relies on the patterns and the trends. The purpose and goals are to generate the idea, to generate the hypothesis, and to generate the theory. Some researchers call qualitative methods are the idea developments and the theory developments. So the setting is very neutral because it is focused on the human beings perspectives, sampling is powerful. The data collections of the qualitative methods are interviews, group discussions, and the observations the researcher experience. So the data analysis is the interactive interpretations. So qualitative is based on the non-numerical data. It means that it is not focused on the number. It's more focused on the nominal data and the ordinal data. Like nominal data as a color group, red, yellow, brown, like that. And gender, blood type, hair colors, and ordinal data are the economics data, like the poverty below the poverty line or the grassroots levels or high school groups like that, as school grade, educational backgrounds, and reviews of the customer surveys. So qualitative is more focused on the non-numerical data. So in the next part, I will discuss the two approach of the qualitative methods. The first one is idea developing approach. Like for example, the researchers want to find the obstacles to the disabled children for their education. So the researchers have one question: what are the obstacles to disabled children for their educations? So in the first stage, in the early stage, the researchers will do some observations. So when the researchers does some observations, the researchers will get some patterns. So from that patterns, and the researchers can develop the ideas. Like, for example, the government cannot provide the appropriate of facilities environments in the schools. That is the main obstacles to the disabled children to join the schools of to attend the class. So that is the idea developing process of the approach. That is one of the qualitative approach. That second one is the theories developing of the theory building approach. Like as an example case, so that researchers want to find out why thousands of Myanmar young people moved to the Thailand after the military coup. So in the first days, the researchers will observe their situations. So they would meet, and the researchers, maybe he or she might meet with the Myanmar young peoples, or so the researchers can collect the information. So the researchers will guess the some patterns and the idea, like for example, one ideas, two ideas, three ideas, because the Myanmar young people want to do their educations in the Thailand, or the second ideas might be the Myanmar young people want to stay in Thailand because of the unstable political situations. Like maybe one, two, or three ideas we get. So in the next steps, the researchers can build the ideas and the relationships of the ideas and the main existing situations. So the researchers can build a tentative hypothesis. So in that stage, the researchers need to meet with the expert level to test the hypothesis and to get the expert level's point of views. So after that, the tentative hypothesis can be theories of a model. That is a theories building approach and a model building approach. So with those two approaches in the qualitative research, the researchers can do case study research, phenomenology research, ethnography research, and the actions research. With the theories of the hypothesis building approach, we can do case study research, phenomenology research, and the ethnography research. So the next part is quantitative. So quantitative is it is quite different with the qualitative method. Approach is a detective approach. It's more relies on the number, facts, and the rules. The purpose and the goals are the test the hypothesis, trying to approve the hypothesis. And setting is the experimenter. Sampling is the render, and the data collections methods are collects the data from the surveys and administrative status of the clinics data like that. And data analysis are the statistical tests and the modelings. So I would like to discuss the three types of the quantitative method in these presentations. So those are the survey descriptive research, correlation research, and the experimental research. So survey descriptive research, it is a research, a kind of the research method that describe the characteristics of the populations of the phenomenon study. Goal is to describe for the examine the actual situations. So this methodologies only focus on the what to answer. These methodologies can answer what questions, but it doesn't focus on the why questions. So it is aimed to understand or describe, evaluate, and compare situations of the conditions. But this is the one of the examples of the survey findings. Big surveys is about the Myanmar key stakeholder perspectives on the China's on China. So like this question is China is a good neighbor or the bad neighbor. So 55% of the surveys participant express they have a negative views on the China. China is not as good neighbors for Myanmar. So big surveys answers of the finals. What is the actual situations and the people perspectives in the existing situations in the ground situations, but it cannot answer the swine's questions. Why they think so that China is not as good neighbor, or how they think so that China is not as good neighbor. So it surveys, descriptive research cannot answer the why and how's questions. So the next topic is this correlations research. So these types of research seeks to explore the connections between the two situations and the condition, like cause and effects. So the researcher assess two variables to comprehend the statistical relationships between them. For example, the researchers might conduct surveys to determine the correlations, but is not applying experimental research method. So there are two groups. There are two main groups in the correlations method. The first one is correlations, focus solely on the directionalities. Like, for example, the researchers want to know the links of the Buddhism and the adopting a vegan lifestyle. So the questions might be is that is there a link between believing in Buddhism and the adopting vegan lifestyles? So this only explores the correlations between those two variables. So it doesn't address whether one variables can influence the others or the one variables can influence the other, which is refers to directionalities. So that second one is regressions. Is address both directionalities and the causality. So if you want to do some regressions, correlation research, you need to find out in the first test those two variables have correlations or not. If those two variables doesn't don't have correlations, you can't do the regressions research. Like, for example, the first variable is believing in the Buddhisms. The second reason is variable is practice to get a nirvana, like liberation from the suffering. So the one person's believe in the Buddhisms, that person practice a vegan lifestyle because they believe they want to follow all of the Buddhism's rules. Like the second variable is practice to get a nirvana. So that group of that person's practice their vegan lifestyles. So those two variables have a connections and correlations. So the researchers can do a regressions level. So what is the causalities? So the causalities and the effects can be every Buddhist individuals who try to attain the nirvana eventually adopts a vegan lifestyles. So that is the formats and the examples of the regressions correlations method. So the next the next part is about the experimental research methods. So this research aims to differentiate the effort on the dependent variables between the two primary conditions, exposures and the non-exposures to the treatment conditions to the independent variables. So it focuses on the effectiveness and the influence of the one variables on another. So let's see the example. This is about the drinking coffees and the sleep issues. So like most researchers think know that when we are conducting the experimental research methods, so we want to do some actual experimental to find out to get the results of the findings. But actually, not all of the experimental results do not need to conduct the experiments. Like the researchers can collect from the surveys. So the researchers want to know that drinking coffee and the sleep issues, is this connected or what is the drinking coffee behavior can influence on the sleep issues. So the researchers can collect the two groups, like age groups, A4 kids at 35 to 45. So and he can divide the two groups who drinks cappuccinos or who drinks espressos. So the researchers will collect the data and the information from the two groups. So those all of the two groups have an impact on their sleep issues because they drink coffees. So from these findings, the researchers can comparison those two groups. That is this kind of the experimental research methods. So which coffee has more effect on the people of the persons to affect the sleep issues. So it can compare the cause and effects. So this is all about my presentations and the end of my presentations. So thank you so much for the pay attention. So thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions or contributions? Maybe I didn't cover the some information in the presentation, so you can contribute.
All right. There's no questions. You want to ask questions?
Is it working? Okay. Okay, so very simple question. Um, in the social sciences, when conducting research, what do you think is the most important type of research? Qualitative research or quantitative research? Or do you think that blending two, like you said, mixed when you made the Venn diagram, you think that mixing them is the best?
In my point of views, in the first days, what the researchers want to find. So if the researchers just only want to find out so the researchers can apply some quantitative. But like social science research are more based on the humans being perspectives. So most researchers apply as qualitative. So qualitative methods can answer most questions, whys and hows. So I think that I prefer more qualitative because it can answer a lot of the questions what we want to know or what we want to know, and it can also contribute the impact on the human society. Okay, thank you.
Let's go.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Nan. Miss Nan. So we go back to your content, and in this your content, you said something about significance of the study, limitation of the study, scope of the study, research question, and research methodology. So can we get to your PowerPoint on significance of the study? Okay, significance of study, and thank you for your wonderful presentation. Now let me ask Chalma, what do you understand by significance of study?
So, significance of study is uh, why do we do this research? So, we should have the idea or the purpose of doing your research. So, if you want to do a research, before doing your research, you have to have that idea. So, you have to get the purpose as well. So it's the thing that why is it important and why you want to do this research, and that's the thing I believe so.
Okay, so Damien, can you share with us in a research paper, in an academic paper, what do you think people mean by significance of research?
I think she put it very well there to say that it's a justification of the importance of the impact of our research, but also it refers to the contributions and the impact that our research has on the field that we are employing our research upon. So it's about what we also add to the field that we are currently conducting the research in.
What we ask.
Yes, what our research adds to.
Okay. So, Sheikha, do you have anything to say in your own concept of significance of research?
Significance of research of the study it's just one in general, just trying to let your reader to know the importance of your research and why you think your research should be accepted.
Okay, Henry, can you tell us from your own perspective the meaning of significance of study?
From my own understanding, significance of study in research simply explains the importance and the impact of your research to the research field that you're trying to research in. That's all.
Okay, let's make it. Any other person, do you have anything to add? Let's make it more practical. Nan, you have submitted your proposal, right? What is the significance of your topic?
Um, my topic is about the China diplomacies on the Myanmar Northern conflict. So, what is the impact on the our conflict resolution process? Because China's intervention, some political situations or ours. So, I explain how is this important to do this research because it has an impact on our societies. So that is the significance of my research and my study.
Okay. So, Shama, in your intended proposal, what is this vacancy? Yeah, what you intend to write in your independent studies. What is the significance of it?
So my topic is the role of tribal women in local governance and political participation of India. Maybe I might just go to the specific uh, part of India, but I'm not sure yet. So my significance will be about the challenges they face in the local governance and in the participation of political field, and also how they manage to do that for as a tribal uh, indigenous people. We do face a lot of circumstances, or yeah, have a lot of problem to just go participate in any kind of governance field. So it is kind of challenging for them as a women. And so yeah, that
What I'm hearing is the problem and the
yeah,
objectives. So what is the significance?
significance is that the overcome of the challenges, and also how we can get that in the future,
How we can
get that problem solved in the future.
So you're trying to tell the government, or tell the society,
Yeah,
tell the people by do your paper. That
yeah,
is why your paper is very important. You're trying to prove to people, convince people why your paper and your academic contribution is very important. And why it's very important and very significant is that this problem has been in existence for a long time. Therefore, we are trying to invite both the government, private institutions, and public institutions that is very, very important that this problem should be solved. And probably your paper is showcasing how that should be solved. So that is the significance. We are proving, trying to convince people that this your academic contribution is very, very vital because this problem has been in existence but has not been solved. So someone that will read your paper, after reading your paper, will see how the problem has been and what you suggested that will be the solution. Do you understand that? Do you have any other thing to add? Okay. So Damian, your intended topic, what is the significance of it?
My intended topic is it's like a refined version is the role of proximity in cross-border conflict. The significance of my topic, the study of my topic, would be exactly to prove the role that proximity plays in violence. So my standing assumptions going into it is that the closer that we are to one another, the more inclined we are to get involved into conflict with one another. So this goes for states as well. So my paper and my research is there to basically prove the point that the closer we are to one another, the greater the chances of us getting involved in conflict.
That's the objective.
Yes.
And what is the significance?
The significance is the role that proximity plays. So I want to prove the role that proximity is actually an issue. That proximity is one of the factors that drives us to conflict.
Important. That's the importance
Not
of
just
your letter.
not just sorry.
Yeah. That is the importance of your letter. You're trying to prove to who?
To the reader.
To the leaders?
To the reader. To the reader.
To the leader or leaders or what?
To the reader.
Leader.
Yes.
Who are the leaders?
Um, whoever has an interest in proximity violence. But they can still read it. It's going to be common. Try to make it common language that they can still read it.
What is that? What is the significance? Because what you said now is easy to point the problem and the objective. Then what is the significance?
The significance is that it can prove that people behave
You
in
can
a,
prove to who?
to the reader,
Who is the reader?
whoever is going to read it.
What if everybody don't care about reading it?
Then they won't read it.
Then what then is the significance of your paper?
So
What then is the significance of
what do you say?
You have to prove the significance of the purpose.
Hmm?
The student of the department will read it.
Exactly, but now the
Then what is the what if the content is at the dump in the library, dump in the MFP office? What's the significance?
so the significance are mainly for the people that stay in areas of cross-border conflict. So people that live in those regions. So like in my country, there's Mozambican cross-border conflict. We can look at Ukraine as well. We have proximity cross-border conflict. So
Yeah.
so the significance of my study is for the people that stay in or are physically affected because of their proximity to the
So
conflict.
the people are affected, how can the people affected become the significance of the purpose?
But you asked who's it for?
Huh? So that's why I'm pointing these things out, because most of you are confusing objective and significance of the purpose. Why are you spending time spending money to do your master's degree studies? That will help you to understand this. Are you getting it? Any other question, anything to add about significance? Because your topic is wonderful, but convince us what is the significance of the paper? You understand? You said significance of the paper recites an explanation. Look at how Nan put it. Now, can you read it again?
The significance of the study in our research paper is an explanation of why we do this research. Why does this research matter?
You see, why does it matter? So, who does it matter for you? Who are the people that you are targeting for the
So in order
research?
to sorry, so maybe to
Because there is a problem now,
yes.
and there was a problem which you want to solve in your paper. So, what is the significance of that paper?
So we could say then to alleviate cross-border
What's the
conflict.
objective?
Maybe like the government or according to your topic, people that are
Give the mic to group.
people that we try to gain some knowledge from the what you are writing. If it's something that's related to government in order to keep peace, that means people in government or security people are meant to read it. Okay, to try to use your idea to check whether they were able to. If you are talking about security, whether they can get the idea of fighting insecurity from what you wrote. So you're actually trying to capture the ideas, capture the minds of, let's say, like the police, the military, something like that.
So the significance of my study significance of my study would then be to aid the research of police and military and so forth. To aid like police and military and so forth. To reduce the conflict around cross borders.
There's a way you put it, is look at what the way you try to explain it to you. Because it's a paper that you spend master's degree and you read and you wrote, and you're carrying this paper. Imagine carrying this paper to your company. Then you can situate and understand the significance of it. Are you getting what I'm saying? Imagine that you finish your studies and you carry this your paper or you put it online. So that's what you are the only person to tell us here what is the significance of your paper. We are already seeing the objective is there. But tell us the significance of the paper. Just like asking somebody, what is your workness?
What is your?
Workness. I don't know. What is their value?
Okay.
Yeah, what's their value? Can you put it the value of your paper? You don't want to use what's significant. What's the value of the paper?
To aid in the reduction of cross-border conflict by the military and police and armed forces, local armed
Are you
forces.
guys actually getting what I'm saying? Yes,
I'm not getting it.
What's that?
The role of proximity in cross-border conflict.
The role of
Proximity in
cross-border
conflict.
conflict. So what is the significance of this? What is the value of the paper?
The value of the paper and of this topic would thus be then would then be to spread light on the topic of proximity and violence to the relevant authorities, armed forces, future researches that may come in.
Correct. So that is actually the point. Otherwise, you are missing it with objective. Objective because the rest of the paper is that after studying in Thailand, you were intelligent enough, smart enough to put up a suggestion to your government, to the people in charge, to the people that are responsible for that, so that the secrets of the paper, that once they read it, it will now help them. Maybe they don't know how to solve the problem. That's why they have that particular project in the first instance. So the significance of your paper is nothing but trying to prove so that anybody that takes that paper and reads it will immediately see the action that you are, the solution, the recommendation you are putting on. That's why your paper is valuable. That's why it's important. That's why it's significant. Very important paper. So that's what we say significance of the paper. Otherwise, you put it in MFPD office or CNMFPD like who cares? But the significance of it that imagine that it was spread around or it went viral. Then the people concerned, the significance will target to the main reason you are writing that particular thing, but the main problem you are attacking to be solved. And then the people that will solve the problem. So your paper is significant when the people that will solve the problem sees it and then try to implement what you have suggested in your paper. That's why your paper is significant. Otherwise, it is just a normal job.
So I have to mention in this, like as I tweak the language, I have to mention to the relevant authorities, like the governmental authorities, local governmental authorities.
There was a problem. So since there was a problem, and you wanted to attend to the problem, and the attending to the problem got your paper. So your paper, anybody that reads it, will see the importance of it, you see the value of it, you see the worthiness, you see the fact that this guy is actually going to solve this problem here. And then imagine the police officers will now read it and use it to implement what they never knew how to implement. Because the idea is coming from you. That's why it's very valuable. That's the sense of it.
With the objective then being to reduce the violence.
Yeah, because you put everything there. So this is just, imagine that this is your paper. Where this guy's paper? I'm not even. Okay. Okay, whatever the case. Imagine that this is your paper. What is the value of it? What is the importance of it? So the point. So it might be just like the trying to explain to you that anybody that reads it, whether researchers, whether police researchers, whether government researchers, they will be able to solve that problem as noticed. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Any other
I
question? Anything to
think
ask?
so.
No question, sir.
That's a question.
Okay.
Okay, Nan, can you go to your limitation?
Oh, no, can we finish the drink and so that we're going following the one after the other? So,
Oh,
and the question is we are now in your own paper and directly the individual. In your own paper, what is the significance of the paper? Everybody pay attention. What is the significance of your paper? Yeah, that's your topic. Can you tell us?
all right. The significance of my paper is that the is going to assist the Nigerian government in trying to, because in recent times there have been a lot of protests, and those protests can be diplomatically transformed into a reform. So with the paper, it will automatically give a guideline on how the Nigerian government can make that protest and turn into a reform.
Again.
Okay. In recent times, there have been a lot of protests, both back in the years, but currently there's constant protest. And my paper specifically looked at those protests in a way they can diplomatically convert it to a reform. So this paper will automatically assist the Nigerian government in trying to convert those protests into a reform.
How can it assist the Nigerian government? How can it assist the Nigerian government?
How can it assist? Oh, because a lot of a lot of things will be touched because basically in recent times, the issues that have been arose that have been solved is generally based on democracy and human right. Right? There have not been anything trying to take this reform using diplomatic means, this protest using diplomatic means to convert it into reform. So, with my research, it will help the Nigerian government because mostly, like I said, they have been talking about human rights and democracy in general, but nobody have really looked into that protest trying to use diplomatic means to turn it into a reform. So that is the way it's going to assist my government.
Okay. But then the statement nobody has looked into is academically unacceptable because many people have looked into it. But just as you said, maybe they have not been channeling it in this area. Okay, so Henry, what's the significance of your own topic?
According to my own topic, which is assessing the role of economic development in promoting peace and stability in Nigeria. So the significance of this my research is actually to capture the Nigerian government in order to show or pull up some ideas and some factors that could help promoting economic development in order to help to promote peace and stability in Nigeria.
By who?
Like showing the Nigerian government ways in which economic development could bring peace and stability in the country.
Okay. So I don't know if you guys have gotten the clue about significance of studies. Sometimes it looks like if it's the same with objective. Actually, it's part of the objective, but the point is that significance is just that it's not just writing a paper, keeping it in a MHPD program, but then that the particular problem you are attending to, once the government looks at it, or once the government organizations or non NGO organizations or other people that are whether public or private, they look at a paper, then you're able to convince them that your methodology, the methodology and the strategy you use in your paper will provide the problems that have been there and nobody has been able to solve it except you. So that is why your paper is very significant, or more than other papers. Otherwise, whatever you are writing, most people have written it. And there's some government, they don't care, they're very stubborn, they don't even care, they know the solution, but maybe solving the problem might be making them not get the money they use to siphon. It is not that they don't know the solution actually, but they know the solution, but the solution might make them lose some money privately. So your paper will be able to itemize all these things and expose it. Okay, so what's the next topic? Limitation of research study. Okay, now let's get a shaker. You wanted to ask question about limitation of study. Oh yeah, forgot. Let's give you time to think. So, Chama, what do you understand by limitation of the study?
So limitation of study is when we write any research paper, we do have a limit. We don't have any access. I mean, we don't get fully access to our resources. So there will always be a limit to any part of resources. So yeah, limitation of study is based on that.
Okay, so what is the limitation of your topic?
My limitation, though I might not have enough resources related to my topics, um, so I will try to get my own idea and also my own experiment, like doing a survey or a video interview. So for my limitation of my studies, that's gonna be that, like looking to solve it with my own understanding.
Okay, Damian, what is the limitation of your topic?
The limitation of my topic is basically getting the first-hand quantitative data that I would like. So I think my topic could be I could delve an edge further into my topic and get more technical with my topic if I actually had proper quantitative data to go on. So I think a lot of my sources that I would use for my research would also roughly play a part in constraining my research because in essence, in essence, personally, what I think to get the best research, to get the best outcome for my paper would actually be to get the actual answers from a quantitative sample.
Okay. Sheikh, what is the limitation of your own topic?
All right. My limitation mostly will be because it have to deal with top officials in my country. So it's going to be a little bit difficult to get their attention. So it will be a way of trying to limit my time frame that I've set out for myself to finish the research.
Okay.
And again, my question is, Nan, you talked about methodological limitation and common limitation. Yeah, I'm really kind of a bit confused about it. Can you just throw more light on it?
This one.
Yes. Can you throw more light on it because I'm a bit confused?
Okay. So like metrological limitations is some issues with a research sample and insufficient sample size. Like for example, if you want to, if you are finding if you are doing a research on a young people and the social media issues, but your sample size is just only focused on this university. So it means that your sample size and your findings cannot cover all of the young people. That is your methodological limitations.
Okay. And common limitations?
It's a time constraints, limited access to the data and information. Like, for example, for my research, so I'm doing a China diplomacies on Myanmar conflict issues. So I have some contents and the connections with the Myanmar stakeholder. So I can get the information from the interviews and the discussions with them. But I can't reach out the China side. So I can only get the information from their ministry press statements and the information they release publicly. So I can't reach out the interviews. So that is one of my limitations, common limitations.
So the time constraint you are talking about here, is it the time based on when you want to finish or the time you will use to gather the information from the China people? So what time constraint actually are you referring to?
Yeah. So in this part, time constraints me. You need to finish within your research paper 3 months. But you can't finish all the things in the three months, but you need to finish, you have to finish. So that is the main time constraints of the common limitation.
Okay, thank you.
Wow. So okay. So Henry, what is the limitation of your own paper?
The limitation of my own paper is you talk about the data collection, like getting quality data relating to Nigerians' economy, and also accessibility to some areas, some zones where Nigerian economy is being focused, like Niger Delta and some militants. Basically, these two.
Okay. So Nan, do you have a limitation? Can you tell us limitation of? Okay, you have said your own limitation in answering his question. Okay.
This question is actually for everybody. Yeah. So, if limitation of a study are like the weakness that researchers cannot fully control, what strategies can be used to like address and manage the limitation to like strengthen your research paper?
Do you get the
Do
question?
you understand?
No, not so
The
clear.
limitation needs to be clarified before you can establish an outcome.
Yeah, you already stated the limitation of your study, yeah?
What's the limitation? You're asking what strategies, but
Yeah.
To solve the limitation.
I don't know, like
Mm.
your own, it depends on whatever your research paper is about.
so
Like,
let's say time constraints, right?
mhm.
Don't you think that you should phrase it specifically, like ask her in regards to time constraints limitation?
Again, can you repeat what I asked?
My only thing is that when he asks what is your strategies for limitations, that you should define which limitations, because all of us are going to have different fields of limitations and aspects that we touch on in our research. So let's say if he clarified like what Chika did, time constraints. How would you battle a time constraint within your research? That limitation, how would you yes, how would you handle a time constraint research limitation? How would you handle a non-cooperative sample? Things like that. So maybe be more specific in the question, I guess.
When you talk about the limitations in a research, for instance, if you are doing a research and you are not able to get access to the data, that's why you have a supervisor. You might in turn ending up changing the topic or giving it to your supervisor to review. If you get some advice from your supervisor whether to change that topic, since you are not since you don't have the ability to get the data, there's a lot of limitations. So sometimes that's what leads to changing of topic, and that's why you have what's it called, research proposal. So when you submit your proposal, when they go through it and in your limitations you are not able to get your data, that's why you have to change your topic. This is my suggestion. So
Assuming that you have a problem with the data.
yes,
in this case.
sometimes people write project as people do their research. On doing the research, they will not be able to continue the research because in my bachelor's degree, I was doing a research. I was doing a practical, and all of a sudden I discovered the water. There is no way I can pass the instrument towards that. So I have to not change. I have to call my professor, and he has to provide a bigger instrument which you can station here and pick what you want over there, which is expensive. So some people cannot afford it, and this can actually lead to them changing their topic, something like that.
Totally changing the direction of their research.
Yes.
Is
That means, yeah, this is one of the strategies. I like this, like,
strategy to solve the
yeah,
limitation?
to even if you cannot solve it, at least to manage. I was asking the question to everybody, like, how do you think you can like manage limitation of studies? Things like that.
Wonderful.
So basically, then you answered it very well.
Yeah.
By approaching
That's
your
why you have
supervisor and so forth.
That's why you assess. Yeah, you are giving a supervisor.
That's actually a wonderful question from Chizi. Okay, another additional part of limitation is that limitation of research in a research paper is a kind of letting people see that your research is not perfect. Are you guys there? A limitation of studies, another dimension of it is that you are letting people see that even in this research you did is not perfect. In case if somebody wants to do it again, you'll be able to see your limitations. Maybe by that time it might be possible to solve, it may no longer be limitation. Remember, of recent, if you want to use a student visa, then if you finish exam today, according to immigration, automatically once your transcript is written graduated, you are set to pay overstay, even though you still have the visa the 9 months to come, but then you are overstaying. But right now, I hope you are aware it has changed, right? Are you guys aware of that? It has changed. So if you are on student visa and your transcript writes graduated, invariably you're supposed to have consulted the university to go back and then, I mean, I don't know the right word to use, to go to immigration to regularize that visa, because you are entitled to stay 1 more year, unlike before. So someone that conducted research before in this kind of student visa issue in Thailand automatically is now a different thing. So you see, the limitation then might no longer be limitation now. So limitation is not only about something that you have to see the danger and solve. It is also part of the fact that you'll be able to expose the weakness of your research so that another person conducting that research next time will see this weakness. Maybe by that time is no longer the same weakness available. I don't know if you guys are getting the point. Okay, so next, then scope of the study. Most people get confused here. It is the boundary of your research, focus on what you want to find. What's the difference between scope and limitation? Sometimes it's a problem. Can somebody tell us?
And scope is all.
Scope is as far as you're willing to go.
Huh?
Scope is saying that scope is as far as you are willing to go, as far as the researcher is willing to take his research. Limitations is as far as you're allowed to go.
So,
Without
the,
pushback.
Henry, any pop comment about the difference between scope? Sylvester, Henry is pointing at you that you're there. Is it?
I'm freezing. I know someone should off the air. I'm freezing.
Okay, you can switch the air off there, please. So, Chika, can you tell us the difference between scope and limitation?
Okay. The limitation already we know that is the things that will hinder your research not to move forward or not to get it exact things that you wanted to get at a particular period of time. Okay. Then the scope is a kind of what do you intend to get in this topic? What do you intend to find? Okay, that is just the scope of the study because they look similar, but they are not. They are different. One is a kind of constraint, right, which is a limitation, and the scope is not a constraint. Rather, it's what you want to get in your research.
The choice of your area.
Yes.
Okay, so Henry, the difference between scope and limitation.
Uh, when you talk about limitations, they're just like hindrance where you that you meet when you are doing your research. But your scope simply talks about focus on your findings and who that research is for and what purpose and what you are going to talk about in the research. So the other one is like your hindrance, like your limitations. Then this one is like what you intend to do, how you are meant to do it, and who is it for. Something like WWH, something like that.
Could we say then also that scope then defines our research range and limitations defines our boundaries, our the research boundaries?
But the presenter said the scope is boundaries of the research.
Because, but the reason why so the understanding of the word boundaries, the semantics of the word boundaries, is because the scope is like the range. That's why I use the word range instead of boundaries, because it implies like an open field of vision, and our limitations. Then I use the word boundaries because it implies where our vision ends or where our vision is hampered.
Okay, all right. Do you have anything to say about the difference between scope and the the scope and the limitation?
So in my point of view, limitation of the studies is out of the boundary we can control. And scope of the studies is in the boundary because one, we want to do a some research. In the first days, we have a general idea that is a very broad. So we can't find out all of the things and we can't do the research, the broad idea. So we need to focus what we want to find, narrow down our ideas. So that is our skills. Like for example, doing a China diplomacy, but I cannot focus all the China diplomacy. It is very broad. like China diplomacy on Myanmar is very broad. So my forecast and I narrow down my forecast is that on the northern conflict. So that is the schools of the studies, and I keep my boundaries. This is my schools of the studies.
In terms of like that's as far as you will go.
Yes.
Okay, I think most of you have gotten it clearly. Sometimes could be very confusing, but it depends on the nature of the research. It depends on the type of research. It depends on what they're actually writing about. And in those days, in philosophy department, we combine them together. We don't separate them. We just say limitation and scope of research. We just put them together. But I still see some other people do it even as it is today. Then the scope. So the scope, it depends on the topic. Then that will be able to enable you. For example, in some cases, you may be talking about the youths, and then you don't want to talk about the youths from 15 years to 30 years. So you just limited your scope to only the youth from 18 years to 20 years or 18 years to 21 years. And that is your focus. That's what you are looking at. Okay, I think so. So the scope is just that particular area you have chosen, is your choice. Military, you will talk about the governance, talk about military regime. Which particular military regime? Are you talking about, for example, you're from Nigeria, are you talking about only Babangida? Or are you talking about from Babangida to Abacha or from Abacha to Babangida? Which one was even first? I think it was Babangida to Abacha, right? Yeah. So do you mean Babangida to Abacha, or you mean from Buhari, during the military era of Buhari until Abacha, or do you just mean only Buhari to Babangida? So you want to center on this particular given military regime, so that it will become your scope of attention. You pay attention over there. So it's a kind of a choice in your paper, that on your personal choice of direction of your paper. So, and limitation, of course, is almost similar, but sometimes there are nuances that could be able, I could separate them, because you wanted to write about that particular scope and that particular area of a military regime. But the point is, you are limited with the fact that you don't have the knowledge, you don't have the book. Nobody wrote the book because they didn't allow anybody to write any book at that particular time. So you're now limiting yourself to few things where you can get the information. I don't know if you guys are getting the point. Are you sure? If you understand scope, you can use it. If you understand limitation, you can use it. Even if you want to combine two of them, it's still okay. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. In addition to what she said, what from my own understanding, scope of the study means the extent or the boundary that you are referring to depends on your topic. For example, I sent my research proposal in bachelor's degree. So my choosing topic was social media, social media, uh, social media, and consumer behavior. For example, so doing, if I continue with that, it is very broad, because I have to cover all the social media network, social media platforms, including Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and so on. So I have to be specific. So in order to make it to be specific, or in order to go to the particular to make it short, I now choose Facebook social media network and the consumer behavior, so that I will not be talking all over social media, stuck with so many social media platform. So
Wonderful. I think you summed it up. Thank you very much for that suggestion. Okay, the next, is that the final one? Research question. Of course, the research question is the question you ask about your research. and then which your research will answer. What do you want to find? Plan your questions along with your research objectives. So I think we have talked about this before. Who was presenting? I think it was Henry, if I'm not mistaken. So we're talking about, okay, yeah. So you see that? So research question wouldn't be our problem because just the question you ask. Why are social media having problem? Why is Facebook a problem for consumers? Just like example, you say, just ask the question. And then the research question is almost similar to research objective because the question, you might have three questions. The same questions, you might reframe them, rephrase them to be the objective so that it's very easy for you to handle. Okay, next. Methodology. Of course, we have talked about methodology, qualitative, individual perception. Somebody wrote a book. We want to use the book in order to read the book, analyze the book. Let me put it in that way. So that is area I will talk what I can say about qualitative. There are so many things about qualitative we have talked in this class also. So the next, of course, we have quantitative as well. Did you talk about quantitative? We have also quantitative as number. That is a number using statistic. That's just understand it. That is the simplest way to understand it. Okay, because we have said a lot of things about it. Next, there are so many types of quantitative and there are so many types of qualitative. So these are types of quantitative and there are types of qualitative as well. The most important thing depends on your research. You can use two of them, you can use one of them.
This is the last one.
Okay, so no conclusion. You didn't have any conclusion?
I think she concluded with the words, like when she.
And then you didn't have any reference too. It's not like you. Because most of the presentations always have conclusion and always have reference. Okay, so at this juncture, I would like to appreciate, I would appreciate you, Miss Nan, for your presentation. So can we give her a round of applause, please? So thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Nan, for your wonderful presentation. I believe that we have learned a lot about research methodology and then about conducting a research as a student. Thank you.